Blowing straight out. That's a big change from the first two nights of this series. Cubs winning the first two games of this set. They shoot for their first three-game sweep over the Mets since 2004. That series was also played here at Wrigley Field. Let's check out the highlights from last night's Game 2. All about Anthony Rizzo making his Chicago Cubs debut, hitting third in the lineup. First inning. A hard hit ground ball to short. Ruben Tejada knocks it down. And Rizzo given an infield hit, so 1 for 1 to start his Cubs career. Second inning now. The Mets with 2 outs would come up with 4 consecutive singles. Josh Thole with an RBI hit. Dylan G, the pitcher, breaks his bat, bloops one into center off Randy Wells. Daniel Murphy scores 2-0 Mets. Cubs would come back, however, with a 3-spot in the third. Alfonso Soriano shattering his bat on a dribbler to second. David DeJesus in. Cubs on the board. Luis Valbuena with a double. Into the right field corner. Starlin Castro in. That tied the game at 2. Then Darwin Barney with an infield hit. Brian LaHare would score. Valbuena gets caught up at third. But the Cubs able to take the lead 3-2. Fourth inning now. The Mets able to tie it up. David Wright lines out to Brian LaHare. It's a sac fly as Tolley's in. And it's 3-3. But Rizzo would give the Cubs the lead, and they would not relinquish it. An RBI double. Steve Clevenger scores 4-3 Cubs. We go to the 8th inning now. Cubs adding on. Before that, though, a controversial play at first base. Ike Davis thought he had tagged Steve Clevenger, but he's thrown out of the game by Manny Gonzalez. Reed Johnson would then hit a ground ball to short. He'd be given a single. Another error by the Mets, their 4th of the series. That would lead to an unearned run and a key insurance tally for the Cubs. Carlos Marmol now, after walking the leadoff man, would get the next 3 in order. So Rizzo gets the game-winning RBI. Scott Maine gets his first major league win, and Carlos Marmol with his 100th career save. Dylan G, who had been pitching well, struggled, and the Cubs bullpen got it done. 6 innings combined, 2 couple of walks, and 3 strikeouts. And earlier today, Dale Swaim talking about Anthony Rizzo's crazy day yesterday.
Like we said yesterday, it's part of the gig when you're in a big market and you're highly touted like that. You're going to have that first day. That's just the way it is, and obviously he handled it very well and got the game-winning hit, played nice defense, and had some nice at-bats. So it's hopefully he settles in and has plays here 15-20 years.
Fun to see yourself on Sports Center and kind of highlighted on the MLB Network as well.
Yeah, it is. I just see it running over there, so it is cool. I didn't see much of it last night. It's a long day, so got to bed pretty early.
Talked to Anthony, said he got a very good night's sleep. That's good, because an early wake-up call today, and he's hitting third. We'll talk with Patrick Mooney from CSNChicago.com when we come back. moves along. Getting set for the Cubs hosting the New York Mets. The Cubs go for the 3-game sweep, and on the field, I'm sure he's really cool right now, especially with the sport jacket on, is Patrick Mooney from CSNChicago.com. Patrick, there was a ton of hype, media circus yesterday with Anthony Rizzo making his Cubs debut, but the performance matched the hype and really a storybook ending. He had the game-winning hit.
Exactly, Len. I don't know if the Cubs could have scripted it much better. And I had a chance this morning to talk to David Wright over in the Mets clubhouse. And if anyone here knows what it's like to be the face of the franchise, it's him. And David said he was really impressed with how Rizzo didn't get caught up in the moment. He kind of played to his strengths. And, Wright even joked that when he came up, he wasn't able to get the crowd to influence scoring decisions. So really, for Anthony Rizzo, this is kind of the rest of his career and really a new chapter, the Cubs hope.
The Cubs brass has long loved his makeup, going back to their days in Boston together. And I would call it a cool confidence, not cocky at all, but he's very sure of himself, isn't he?
Yeah, he showed up here and acted like he belonged, and that's something that the Cubs said years ago about Starlin Castro. They liked the way how he carried himself, walked around the room, his projected confidence. And I think we all saw that from Rizzo yesterday. Certainly it helped the experience he had last year in San Diego, and everyone says he's learned from the struggles there, and the Cubs hope he'll benefit from it here at Wrigley.
And last thing, Randy Wells designated for assignment today. Rafael Dolis is back and in the bullpen today, so the Cubs will have to figure out who will take that spot in the rotation early next week. But creating a roster spot on the 40-man, does that mean Jorge Soler is close to signing?
Yeah, that's the sense, Len, that obviously there are a couple of immigration issues that they have to get hashed out, but the Cubs said they needed a roster spot, and Soler had to get signed before that July 2nd deadline, before the CBA kind of cap kicks in. And so that's another piece when you look at a building block player to kind of stack on top of each other. Rizzo, Soler, Castro, things are moving in that direction.
All right, Patrick, thanks for the time. As always, we're getting set. Cubs and Mets in a pitching matchup today. Jeff Samardzija has struggled lately, but he's been very good at home this year with a 2.36 at Wrigley. And lefty Jonathan Neese in the daytime with a sub-2 ERA. We'll hear from Bob Brenly and have all the action coming up from beautiful Wrigley Field next.
Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet, part of the NBC Sports Group.
The Cubs go for the sweep over the New York Mets. Next. Hot and sunny here on the north side, really heating up, wind blowing out, and we're set for Chicago Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. The Cubs today go for their first three-game sweep over the New York Mets since 2004. And hi again, everyone. Alongside Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. Everybody's still basking in the glow of Anthony Rizzo's Major League debut. I would say it turned out just fine.
I think so, Len, and that's what we were all hoping for. There's no guarantees when you make your debut that things are going to go as well as they did for Anthony last night, but I think this is what the Cubs expected. Very calm, very mature at-bats, got good pitches to hit and hit them hard.
Yeah, a couple of hits and, hitting line drives. We saw one fly out to right that he just missed. If he hits that same ball today, it's probably going to be a home run. A lot of poise from Anthony Rizzo. Spent a lot of time talking to the media before and after the game, but his career here in Chicago really starts today, doesn't it?
It really does, Len. I was just thinking about that same thing. It's almost like opening day, all the hoopla and the pageantry surrounding it, and then you settle into the routine of the regular season. And I'm sure Anthony Rizzo's looking forward to today.
Jeff Samardzija goes for the Cubs, left-hander John Neese for the Mets. Let's send it down to the field. Our public address announcer here at Wrigley Field, Andy Bellison.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask you to please stand as the Chicago Cubs welcome a very special guest to Wrigley Field. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Heat Lyons is a 1997 graduate of the United States Air Force Academy and is currently an F-16's weapons instructor pilot with over 1,900 hours and 200 combat hours. He has served 2 tours in Iraq and recently returned from his 2nd Korean tour. Lieutenant Colonel Lyons is a distinguished graduate of the United States Air Force Weapons School and the 2010 winner of the United States Air Force Lieutenant General Claire Chennault Award, given to the United States Air Force Top Aerial Warfare Tactician. The Chicago Cubs would like to take this moment to thank Lieutenant Colonel Lyons, along with all our servicemen and women, both in this country and around the world, for their selfless dedication, courage, and sacrifice in protecting our freedom and defending this great country. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please remain standing. Kindly remove your caps and join Heather Horton as she honors America with our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Nice work by Heather Horton with our national anthem. Yeah, there's a new kid in town. It's Anthony Rizzo, and he's in the lineup today, hitting third as the Cubs go for the sweep over the Mets.
To you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Responsibility. What's your policy? Toyota. Right now, you can get a lot for less at your local Toyota dealer, official partner of the Chicago Cubs. The new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. BMO Harris Bank. Helping money make sense. BMO Harris Bank. NA member FDIC. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Great destination out at Sheffield and Addison, the Ron Santos statue. Billy Williams statue out there as well before you head on into the ballpark. And as we get started, let's take a look around the big leagues on June 27th and some notable performances last night. Yu Darvish struck out 10, got his 10th win of the season. And 7 consecutive wins for him at home. Bronson Arroyo got a no decision, took a no-no into the 8th. The Reds did beat the Brewers. They trail early today. And Jamie Moyer's with what, Bob, his 9th team this season as he signs a minor league contract with the Blue Jays. Milwaukee leading Cincinnati 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th at Great American Ballpark. Now the Mets Southwest starting lineup written out by Terry Collins. Kirk Neuenhuis struggling, so Andres Torres gets a start against the righty Samardzija. Tejada, right, who had a 15-game hitting streak end last night. Duda in right. Ike Davis got kicked out of the game late last night. More on that later. Scott Hairston in left. Daniel Murphy at second. Josh Tolley the catcher, and John Neese on the mound.
And here's how the Cubs will line it up defensively this afternoon. Soriano in left. Joe Mather getting a start in center field, while Jeff Baker getting the start in right field. Luis Valbuena, rough night defensively at third base, back in there this afternoon. Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney up the middle of the field. Anthony Rizzo over at first base. Giovanni Soto behind the plate for right-hander Jeff Samardzija, and he needs a good one. See his numbers overall on the season. In his last 7 starts, he's 1-5 with a no decision. He pitched well enough to win a couple of those ball games, but really needs to pitch well today just for his own peace of mind.
Manny Gonzalez gets the plate. Greg Gibson is at first. The crew chief Jerry Davis is at second, and Phil Cuzzy will handle third. Umbrellas today. Not expecting rain, but blistering heat. And tomorrow we're looking at triple digits. In case you're wondering, our buddy Tom Skilling today reporting that hitting 100 degrees in Chicago, that happens on average 1 year in 3. So it's rare. I know you'll celebrate once we hit 100.
Kind of like a good hitter. 1 out of 3.
Yeah. So here we go. Switch hitting Andres Torres takes a fastball low. Look for Samardzija to use his curveball a little bit more today. Another issue he's had, as good as his splitter is, it's been up a little bit. And that's a pitch that a lot of guys, especially with 2 strikes, like to throw in the dirt. Get guys to chase.
And I'll tell you, in general, these kind of days at Wrigley Field with the wind blowing straight out, that sinking fastball at the bottom of the strike zone is the best pitch you can have in your arsenal. Definitely want to keep the ball on the ground if at all possible today.
And you don't want to walk too many. 3-0 on Torres. So Soto setting up right down the middle, but that sinker's low. Well, there's good movement on that pitch, but Samardzija might need to recalibrate here to get that pitch in the strike zone.
Yeah, just find that good release point where you're keeping it down, but yet keeping it right there at the edge of the strike zone at the bottom of the knees.
Now the shortstop Tejada. Southwest wind at 7. That means it's blowing straight out to center field at 87 degrees. Torres takes off for second, and he's saved. So he has stolen a bag in all 3 games of this series, and in fact now has a 4-game stolen base streak.
Came into the game as a pinch runner in the 8th inning last night and promptly stole second base. Unfortunately, that short hop throw, middle infielder watched Castro's glove come up to make the catch and then back down to apply the tag. That's all the room Torres needed to get in safely.
And Samardzija has thrown 5 pitches in this game, no strikes. Now Soto will come out and they'll talk it over.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit to see Terry Collins play for an early run, have Tejada put down a sacrifice bunt to move Torres up to third base with David Wright. Lucas Duda due up at the plate, a couple of fly ball hitters.
One and nothing on Tejada. Corner men are in. No sign of a bunt. Missed again. 2-0. The start here for Samardzija, to put it in football parlance. He's a former All-American wide receiver. It's kind of like the opposing team returned the off to your 20-yard line. There's a strike. This is why even a starting pitcher will take a few warm-up tosses from the stretch. Has to go there immediately is Tejada with a late swing on purpose to get that ball to the right side, and Mets have a runner at third with 1 out. Let's do our Coors Light freeze can from last night. One of the most heads-up plays you'll ever see, and we didn't see it at the time, but notice over on your left, David Wright raising his hands, asking for time as his first baseman. Ike Davis starts to argue with the first base umpire. Darwin Barney with a heads-up play took off for third, but Jerry Davis sending him back, and David Wright, that's as smart a play as you'll see on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, we didn't even notice it at the time last night. Had to look at a replay.
This is going to give the Mets an early lead as Baker makes a catch. Torres in. They manufacture a run without a hit, a walk, a steal, a grounder to second, and a sac fly.
David Wright will get credit for the RBI with that sac fly to right field, but give a half an RBI to Ruben Tejada for moving the runner from second to third with that ground ball to second base. Those are the kind of things that get lost in the shuffle of the box score, but certainly appreciated by his manager and teammates.
Called strike on Duda. The other question about that play last night is, when are you allowed to call time? You know, it looked like Barney had not yet totally taken off for third. He was shuffling off second. But based on that wide angle replay, I think Jerry Davis got it right. In other words, if a guy's sprinting toward the next base, you can't just say timeout and everything stops. It's really a pretty subjective call for an umpire. Joe Mather in center to end the inning. And Samardzija shaking his head, doesn't give up a hit, but Cubs trailing 1-0 as they come up to bat. They beat a left-hander for the fourth time this year on Monday night. Mather, Castro, Rizzo at the top, Soriano, Baker, Soto in the middle, Barney, Valbuena, and Samardzija at the bottom.
Take a quick look at the Mets defensively this afternoon. It'll be Scott Hairston in left field, Andres Torres in center, Lucas Duda over in right field, David Wright at third base, Ruben Tejada at shortstop, Daniel Murphy at second base, Ike Davis try to go 9 over at first base. Josh Tolley behind the plate today for left-hander Jonathan Neese. See his numbers on the season in 14 starts, coming off a victory over the New York Yankees in that Big Apple Classic. Went 6 1/3, gave up 8 base hits, which was a season high for him, but only 2 runs, both coming on solo homers.
Just before opening day, got a 5-year extension with a couple of option years. His 0-1 pitch to Joe Mather is lined into right for a base hit. Mather, who had the game-winning home run on Monday night.
Joe Mather filling that leadoff spot today. Takes a fastball right down the heart of the plate at 90 and carves it into right field for a leadoff base hit. You won't see a lot of mix from Jonathan Neese today. He throws a 2-seam sinking fastball, a cut fastball, and a curve. Very rarely throws a straight changeup. Uses that curveball as his off-speed pitch.
Starlin Castro, the leadoff man at first. Mentioned this on the pregame. Neese with a 1.99 ERA during the daytime. He's 3-0. And it's something he actually has been good at in his career for whatever reason. His ERA over a run better during the day compared to at night. That one rolled into right. Mather coming around second on his way to third. Duda's throw way offline, right with a leaping catch to save a run, at least for the time being. And the Cubs are in business. First and third, nobody out.
Well, you love the approach of the first two hitters. Starlin Castro takes an inside fastball and with an inside out swing takes advantage of that monster hole on the right side of the infield. Joe Mather with some overly aggressive base running right there. Good throw from Lucas Duda, probably gets him at third base, but that's what Dale Swaim wants to see his base runners do. Put pressure on the defense, force them to make a good play to get you out.
And Mather did a good job, just put his head down and kept on going. So here's Anthony Rizzo with an RBI chance right off the bat. He won the game last night with his fourth inning double that scored Steve Clevenger. He's going to see some lefties here over the next few days. The Astros have two lefties to start in that series this weekend. Fouled off 0-2.
Well, certainly the quality of left-handed pitching that Anthony Rizzo will see at the major league level considerably better than he's been seeing at AAA, but he's not unfamiliar with facing lefties. He's an everyday player.
Fly ball out into shallow center, and Mather's going to have to hold. Throw off line, and Castro thought about second base but decided to stay. So Torres made the catch and got it back in quickly, and Joe Mather didn't know it was going to be a bad throw. One out, and here's Soriano. Hit by two pitches last night. Mets will set up in double play depth around their infield. And that curveball you were talking about misses outside for ball one. Jonathan Neese is from Defiance, Ohio. That may sound familiar. He was a high school teammate of Chad Billingsley of the Dodgers.
Defiance is about halfway between Toledo, Ohio and Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the very northwest part of the state of Ohio.
Hello, you're going to say it's halfway between stubborn and outright disagreeable.
I like it.
Tap foul. Pat Listash, the Cubs third base coach. A 2-2 count. Cubs trying to match their season high and grabbing their third consecutive win. The Mets have tied their season high with their fourth consecutive loss. Terry Collins not real pleased with how sloppy his team has been over the first two games, particularly defensively, and they've got Castro caught up in a rundown. Mather watching the play, watching. The tag applied. Mather cannot advance. Well, we've seen some very good base running in this series from the Cubs, but Bob, we've seen some mistakes too.
Castro just completely fooled, wasn't running to second base, just took his secondary lead as Jonathan Neese picked up that front leg. Just got fooled by the move to first base.
The Cubs go from first and third, no outs, to a runner at third, 2 outs. Lined to David Wright, and that's the inning. We've seen this movie too often. The Cubs cannot get that tying run in. Afternoon at 1:20, but be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans at the game get a Cubs drawstring bag, compliments of Invesco. For more info and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Missed opportunity as the Cubs had the heart of their order coming up with runners at first and third, nobody out, and did not score. So Ike Davis will lead off for the Mets here in the second. Ground ball right to Starlin Castro. The Cubs over shifted toward the right.
Well, you can occasionally get burned with these exaggerated shifts that Dale Swaim has his infielders play, but I would have to say that up to this point of the season, it's paid a lot more dividends than it's hurt the Cubs. We've seen a number of guys hit that ball right back up the middle of the field, start jogging down the first base line, figuring up their new batting average, only to have Starlin Castro or Darwin Barney be positioned right behind the bag up the middle of the field.
Now Hairston, the left fielder. I'll tell you, Scott and his brother Jerry have put together really nice major league careers. We mentioned Scott earlier this year, hit for the cycle. He's been in the big leagues every year since 2004. Jerry made his debut back in 1998 and still going strong. Currently with the Dodgers.
Yeah, Scott Hairston, a little bit of victim of hype. That ball is grounded to the left side of the infield. Valbuena with a nice running play. Well, Scott Hairston came up in the minor leagues with the Arizona Diamondbacks with the idea that he was going to be the next Gary Sheffield. Now, he's got tremendous talent. He's got great pop in his bat. But pretty lofty expectations. And Scott Hairston, to his credit, just went about his business, doing his job, found his niche in this game, and will probably have a job for quite some years to come.
Now the second baseman, Daniel Murphy, who is the everyday guy to start the year, hasn't played quite every day here lately. We mentioned Kirk Neuenhuis out of the lineup today against a right-hander. He's been scuffling. 2 balls, no strikes. Cubs have won the last 4 in a row against the Mets, and they've now won 5 consecutive series against the Mets in this ballpark. 3-0. Good day for hats here at Wrigley. 3-1.
The more shade, the better.
Or makeshift hats. Whatever works. Out into right center, and Mather will get it on a hop. Murphy hustling towards second, and he slides in safely.
BMO Harris pitch tracks will show the location right down the heart of the plate. Murphy spanks it toward that gap in right center. Most of the time, the determining factor for a base runner is the direction that the defender is running when he gets the ball. Joe Mather, being a right-handed thrower, moving to his left, was going to have to somehow stop his momentum, turn his body back toward the infield before he could make the throw. Murphy realized that and was able to advance for his 19th double of the season.
Josh Thole. Thole. Having an issue with his right eye. And as we often say, it's hard to play this game as it is, but even harder when you can't see. On one hop, it's backhanded by Castro. He sets, throws, and gets Tolley to end the inning. 2-out double for the Mets' first hit. No runs after an inning and a half. 1-0 for the visitors.
To 13 of all abilities, the ultimate major league experience for 8 one-week sessions in 6 convenient locations around the Chicago area. Join fellow teammates for a week of top-notch baseball instruction, exclusive access, and unforgettable moments. Visit Cubs.com/camps to sign up your future Cub today.
Bottom of the second, Baker, Soto, and Barney due up against Jonathan Nice. A couple of health notes on Nice. He has a heart issue that will likely be addressed surgically after the season. And he also had nose surgery this past offseason. Carlos Beltran offered to pay for a nose job for Nice. Why? He said you look better during interviews. So Nice eventually took him up on it, and Beltran came through on the $10,000 bill even after he was traded to San Francisco. I talked to Nice the other day about it, and while the original goal was cosmetic, he said he's had a lot easier time breathing. He said his septum was so deviated that he could not breathe out of one side of his nose, but it wasn't something he thought was odd because it had been his entire life. So it's been doubly good, I guess. He is engaged. He said his fiance loved him for who he was before the nose job, but was very supportive.
He looks better in interviews.
And he looks better in interviews as Baker lines out to right. I guess when Beltran was traded to the Giants, Nice called him and said, "Remember our deal?" Beltran said, "Yep, I'm good." Now, he has occasionally had an irregular heartbeat, and it has forced Nice out of a couple of starts over the last 2 years. But he says as long as he doesn't have a recurrence this season, he's just going to wait until the offseason. Doesn't want to miss any starts. The 0-1 to Soto is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nice pick on the backhand. And is right. Very poised over there at third, and he throws out Soto. David Wright will likely be the starting third baseman for the National League. Would be his 6th All-Star appearance. Almost 2.7 All-Star votes to this point. And a couple of Gold Gloves for Wright. That's why.
You think about the 2 New York teams. David Wright I would say is the Mets' Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I would agree.
Very professional. You'd never see him involved in any kind of controversy. By all accounts, a great teammate. Puts up awesome numbers. Can't think of a better guy to be the point man for your organization.
We started to get into it a little bit last night about it takes a special guy, not only on but off the field as well, to be that guy in New York, as Barney finds that seam between short and third and keeps the inning alive.
Well, and the reason that seam was there between third and short is the fact that David Wright was playing up in front of the baseline against a possible bunt. We've seen a lot of opposing teams do that with Darwin Barney at the plate, and I can't remember the last time Darwin Barney tried to bunt for a base hit. It's that stereotype of a small middle infielder. He must be fast, he must bunt. Darwin Barney rarely bunts for a base hit.
Well, the good for Luis Valbuena last night, 2 hits, including an RBI double. The bad, he committed 2 errors, but they did not lead to any runs. That's a fair ball. It's going to roll for a bit as Hairston goes to pick it up. It's going to tie the game as Barney comes around third and will score without a throw.
Nice piece of hitting against a tough left-handed pitcher. Valbuena stays right on it, spanks it down into that left field corner. Hairston played that ball like he thought it was going to explode. Got a little shy of that side wall down there. That ball takes some funny bounces when it gets down in that left field corner. Darwin Barney never breaks stride and scores all the way from first base. Oh, this could be the day, Len.
Could be.
Wind blowing out. Samardzija had some good batting practice here at home this week. Look at that. Come on, Irish.
Oh, and 2.
See, the Mets are worried about him. Even in a 2-strike count, Neese has to step off and have his catcher go through another set of signs.
He chased one and is out. Doesn't even attempt to run as Tolley throws to first to end the inning. Barney kept the inning alive with a single and would score on the Valbuena double. It's 1-1 at the end of 2. Catch the weekly quiz show that puts Cubs and Sox fans' knowledge to the test. Don't miss episode 1 as two diehard Cub fans square off in the batter's box Sunday at 5 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
I wonder if we can get Ed Hardig involved in that.
Oh, that wouldn't be fair, would it?
Be a ringer.
Pitcher Neese leading off for the Mets here in the third. Bob, I saw an interesting on this day in baseball history, and I had to do a little extra research. June 27th, 1911. The Boston Red Sox lost their protest when the A's Stuffy McInnes hit a warm-up pitch home run. Now, there's a good website, PhiladelphiaAthletics.org, that described what happened. Now, up until 1950, there was no specific rule about the home team having to bat last. So that's an interesting aside to the story, as Neese is caught looking on strikes, number 1 for Samardzija. So on that date, June 27th, 1911, the Boston Red Sox were at home, but they hit first. So I didn't know that. So they're going to the bottom of the 8th. Ed Loose Carger is warming up. Stuffy McInnes is leading off the inning. As the pitcher's warming up, he steps in the box and hits a ball into the outfield and keeps rolling. Well, the outfielders weren't ready at that moment. And he just kept going. Crosses a plate. Umpire says safe. So the Red Sox were very upset. They protested the game. Ban Johnson was the American League president. And they said there were 2 A's players still on the field and in fair territory when McInnes hit the pitch. Well, the answer was pretty obvious for the AL president to deny the protest. That is because they had banned warm-up pitches between innings. As Soriano makes a catch, Torres is out. They were worried about how long the games were going. Some games were taking 2 hours to complete.
Wow.
So McInnes knew the rule, and while guys taking some warm-up tosses, he just jumped in the box and swung away. So it was a little bit of a different game 100 years ago.
Oh, it sure was. I had one yesterday. Let me look back. This more involves fans, but another one of those things where you go, my, how things have changed. This was back in 1916. Yesterday, 3 fans at the Polo Grounds were arrested for petty larceny by the New York Police Department for keeping foul balls hit into the stands. Can you imagine?
There's a line out as Tejada hit it hard, but right to Valbuena. So Samardzija with a quick 1-2-3. It's 1-1 in the third.
This Sunday, July 1st at Wrigley Field. Game time is 1:20, but be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans will receive a special Cubs custom earbuds, compliments of Pepsi. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Top of the order, Joe Mather against Jonathan Neese. Ball one. Mets are where they are, over 500, because of their starters' ERA and the fact that they've hit well with runners in scoring position. They have cashed in on their opportunities this year, as Mather found that one off himself.
Uh-oh. Somebody lost their umbrella.
In the dirt on a curveball, 2-1. Foul tip on a fastball, 2-2. Cubs are off tomorrow. The Astros come in starting Friday. The Mets will fly immediately after the game to Los Angeles and start a 4-game weekend set tomorrow night.
Well, and you really hope that missed opportunity in the first inning doesn't come back to haunt the Cubs. On Baseball Reference, they have a section for each pitcher in the game, breaking down their outings: pitch 1 through 25, pitch 26 through 50, 51 through 75, and 76 through 100. For Jonathan Neese, the opponent's batting average in the first 25 pitches is .306. For the next group of 25 pitches, it drops down to .205, then .243, then .208. This is one of those guys that gets stronger as the game goes on.
He strikes out Mathers swinging. And we look ahead. This is up until the All-Star break. So after tomorrow, the Cubs' next off day will be on July 9th. A tough trip to Atlanta and New York. Although the Braves are under 500 at home and over on the road. Castro with a weak ground ball to second. Murphy handled it no problem.
Batting next, first baseman number 44, Anthony Rizzo.
It sounded like Anthony was just glad to get a good night's sleep. You can imagine the whirlwind of the day that he had yesterday. Well, he didn't have time to take a deep breath. Right back into the regular routine of baseball today.
Our good friend Matt Spiegel from The Score was asking me if there's anybody Rizzo reminds me of in terms of where his hands are, bat waggle. One of his listeners mentioned Eric Davis from the right side. That's a good one.
Yeah, carries his hands very low down near the belt buckle as he's waiting for the pitch to be delivered. Very upright, almost leaning backwards at times with his upper body.
1-2.
It's a good call.
I asked him if there was any significance to the number 44. He said that's the number they gave me in spring training.
We touched on that last night. That was a surefire indicator that this guy was going to be in the big leagues, and soon.
Drives that ball out into deep right center. Just missing the basket. On his way to second with a double. Rizzo has one career home run, and he was a couple of feet away from number 2. The other one was off John Lannon, a lefty, on June 11th of last year.
I think we have to make the distinction between good hitters that happen to hit home runs and home run hitters. And Anthony Rizzo's a good hitter that will hit his share of home runs. This is a screaming line drive to that gap in right center field. Nice quick swing. That's a completely different looking hack than we saw down in the Cactus League early this spring. Especially in the early part of camp, very long loopy swing. Took his bat a long time to get into the hitting zone, but that's not the case anymore. Carrying his hands a little lower, taking that bat directly to the spot it needs to be.
Kick the 1-1. Fouled back 1-2. Ace has the sign from Tolley, going to go inside. They did, and Soriano took it. 2-2. Bounced way out in front of home plate on a curve.
A good block that time by Tolley, but you could see the glove came up, big hole between the shin guards and underneath the glove. If that ball would happen to skip and stay down, that's the one that gets through all the way to the backstop.
Three and two with Baker on deck. And he steps off. And he walked him. Dan Worthen, the Mets pitching coach, heading out. He had a shot at Terry Collins there. When the Mets hired Collins prior to last year, it raised some eyebrows. There were a few people around baseball who kind of forgot where Terry Collins had gone. It was his first managerial job in quite some time, going back to the late 90s with the Angels. So his first managerial job in 12 years. He was known as an incredibly intense guy when he managed the Astros and the then Anaheim Angels. Well, his intensity has worn well, his energy here in New York. And Bob, it seems as though Terry Collins has mellowed at the right times.
Well, that fiery personality can really wear on you and wear on players after a while. I mean, everybody likes a little fire, a little vinegar, but it has to be tempered and has to be used in the right way so as not to lose your players and lose the umpires and eventually lose the front office and ultimately lose your job.
He's gotten high marks here so far. Late swing by Baker.
Tell you what, though, Len, more so than probably any other city in the country, he's ultimately going to be judged by whether his team wins or loses. That's the case just about anywhere you go. But you know, sometimes there's ways to evaluate a manager that don't involve wins and losses. Are players getting better under his tutelage? Is the organization in better shape now than it was before he took over? But in New York, they're interested in those W's.
One clanked by the catcher Tolley. Talked about pass balls. I think it's number 7 on him. But many of those with the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey on the mound. He just missed this one.
Yeah. I mean, that can occasionally happen. I mentioned Nice throws a two-seam fastball that will tail away from the right-handers. He throws a cutter that will move the other direction. Totally may have been expecting the cutter and got the two-seamer instead.
Outside corner, called strike 3. Well, Anthony Rizzo with a double off the wall in deep right center. The Cubs cannot convert. Still 1-1.
Locos Tacos from Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field. David Wright has fallen out of the top spot in the major leagues in batting. How about Carlos Ruiz of the Phillies? Catcher hitting .361. 20-year-old Mike Trout currently leading the American League. Batting average race at .335. Rizzo with a nice play. And retire right. And that slicing liner.
We've talked about David Wright throughout this series. What makes him such a dangerous hitter is his willingness and ability to hit the ball to all parts of the park. That time making a bid for an opposite field base hit, but Anthony Rizzo right there to take it away.
Called strike to Duda. They want to send out anniversary wishes. Happy 3rd anniversary wishes to Andy and Sigrid Akins. Andy, a fine press room chef here at Wrigley Field. Also congrats to Jenny and Jason Ackerman, welcoming Grace Ivy Ackerman into the world. Born just before 8 o'clock last night. 7 pounds 1 ounce. The world's newest Cub fan. Two and two. I want to send out get well wishes to Norman Sherman, huge Cub fan, recovering from hip surgery. And Norman, we hope you're feeling better. Outside, and it's full 3-2. Also, happy 6th birthday to Charlie Robbins. Rooting on the Cubs this afternoon. Ball 4. Well, you really hate those kinds of walks. You start the sequence 0-2, and Duda patient and coax the walk. So a 1-out base runner. And it's Davis. Foul tip. Strike 1. Brewers have carried a 5-3 lead into the 9th in Cincinnati today. Ricky Weeks, Cody Ransom have homered. For the Brewers, Ryan Ludwig for the Reds. Milwaukee trying to salvage a finale in that series. And get to within 7.5 of first. There's the curveball it missed. 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2. The Reds have played pretty well this year, but right now, Bob, I feel like they're kind of leading the division by default. Nobody else has really stepped up. The Cardinals got off to a really good start. They've been just average here lately. Although actually they've won 5 in a row to get back over 500.
I think that's what a lot of people expected in the Central Division this year. I think the Cardinals were the odds-on favorite, followed closely by the Reds. I think people thought the Brewers were going to do much better than they have up to this point. The big surprise is the Pirates once again. They were surprising last year in the early going.
Duda was on the move. Davis into the corner. Duda actually stopped at second base. He's going to be sent by Tim Tuffle. The throw will come to the plate. It is late. Boy, Duda's had an interesting time in this series running the bases. He almost stopped completely at second base. I'm not sure he knew where that ball was. But because it got all the way to the wall in right, he's able to score, and it's 2-1.
Duda was on the move, saw the ball was hit into right field, but wasn't sure if it was caught or was it hit directly at Brian LaHare, or rather Jeff Baker in right field. And this time Tim Tuffle, the third base coach, with a very early and emphatic wave home of Lucas Duda. Last night it was a little bit later and caught Duda by surprise.
Yeah, Duda took responsibility for it, not picking up that sign, and took away an RBI for Mike Davis. Wasn't going to happen here today.
That's why it's so important as a base runner to trust your coaches. There are going to be situations just like that where you're on the move between first and second. The ball's put into play behind you, and you don't know what's going on out there. Now you can look out to right field. That's going to slow you down if you should advance on to third base. Yeah, the best thing to do is always pick up the coach at third base. He's going to tell you what's going on out there in right field.
2-0 on Hairston. Okay, so Duda takes a look back. Now, right here, Bob, should he be looking at his third base coach?
Absolutely, yeah.
You would think, yeah, Tim Tuffle knows where the ball is.
Well, we've seen a number of Cubs base runners do exactly the same thing we just saw Duda do right there. Look back over your shoulder, try to figure out what's going on behind you, which is going to slow you down 100% of the time.
High fly ball to center. And Joe Mather now backpedaling. That wind pushing that ball maybe 10 feet out toward the wall. Davis tagging. He's at third, 2 outs. Here's Murphy, who doubled in the second. Well, when I hear the name Murphy and it involves the New York Mets, with all due respect to Daniel, I think of Bob Murphy, long-time radio voice of the Mets. Passed away in 2004. High in the air, deep to right, and it's gonna go. Daniel Murphy with a home run, his first of the season, and it's 4-1.
Is there any doubt Daniel Murphy's a low ball hitter on our Nissan pitch tracks? That ball down and in at about knee level, just off of the inside corner. So many lefties get to that ball quickly, get backspin on it, and this time Murphy gets tremendous carry to right field. Top hand comes off the bat at the point of contact.
Tolley lifts this one in the air to deep left. It'll be Soriano to make the catch on the warning track. Daniel Murphy with his first of the year, and the Mets stretch their lead to 3. Got that infield dirt in between innings.
We're going to take another look at that swing by Daniel Murphy. This is out of the Charlie Lau, Walt Riniak school of hitting, where the top hand comes off the bat at contact. But watch as Murphy actually takes his top hand off the bat before contact. The idea is you hit down and through the ball. You take the top hand off the bat so you get better extension with the bottom hand. Perfect example right there by Daniel Murphy. Frank Thomas espoused that particular hitting style from the right side of the plate. Of course, the most notable, George Brett, a Charlie Lau pupil and probably the #1 pupil of Charlie Lau style hitting.
Cubs with some work to do here, trailing 4-1. Soto went after the high pitch and fouled it off. One and two. Got him. Called strike 3. Well, Daniel Murphy kind of got in the way of our conversation about the great Bob Murphy, longtime voice of the Mets. Bob passed away in August of 2004. 50 years of Major League play-by-play. Bob, in 1961, he was doing games for the Baltimore Orioles. He called Roger Maris record-tying 60th home run that season, and that became his audition tape to land the job with the Mets the following year. They were the expansion Mets at that time. The Mets radio booth, now known as the Bob Murphy radio booth. Was it the happy totals, the happy recap? When the Mets would win. Very nice man. Mets are well taken care of these days. The radio booth, Howie Rose and Josh Lewin and Gary Cohn, Ron Darling, and oftentimes Keith Hernandez in the television booth. We should also give a mention to Ralph Kiner, long time Mets announcer.
Yeah, Len, when we have a pitcher in town in the booth, like Ron Darling, I always check my numbers against him just to see whether I can brag on him or not. I kept my mouth shut with Ron Darling in town. I think I was 5 for 28 lifetime.
Yeah, the Mets TV booth at Citi Field is named after Ralph Kiner. Still does some work. 51st year broadcasting Mets games.
There's Ron Darling.
Gary Cohen, fine play-by-play voice. You check out other games and local TV crews around baseball, and there are so many good ones, but the Mets are fun. Keith Hernandez, I mean, there's no filter.
No.
From brain to mouth. He didn't make this trip, and we're going to have to give him the business about it, because the last time the Mets were here, I think it was May of last year, it was about 35 degrees every day, and he let his audience know how cold he was. One and two to Valbuena.
Well, I'll tell you, back in the day, and I know Ron Santo wouldn't like to hear me say this, but I always look forward to playing against the Mets. They were one of the best teams back in the 80s. They had some tremendous players on that roster, and Keith Hernandez was a guy that you always look forward to competing against, because you knew he was going to bring it every night. We talk a lot about adjustments in that batter's box. He carried it to an extreme as Valbuena breaks his bat, hits a grounder to short. That should do it.
He's starting to settle in, true to form, as Bob mentioned earlier. 4-1 Mets.
Trivia question. Who was the last Mets pitcher to start an All-Star game?
Is that a hint?
That could
Gary
be
Cohen.
Misinformation there. Yeah. Don't take the bait.
Been a rough go here for Jeff Samardzija, losing his last 3 starts with an ERA over 10, and hasn't been given a ton of run support either during this time. Two 2-0 on Jonathan Neese. I don't know if Jonathan has any siblings, but if he does, would their sons be Neese's nephews?
Or Neese's nieces?
The daughters would be,
yeah.
yes. Yeah. 3-2. All 4 and a walk to the pitcher.
Be wise for Jeff Samardzija not to look into his own dugout right now. That is one of Dale Swaim's pet peeves, walking the opposing pitcher.
Torres bunts it foul.
It looked like he was trying to bunt for a base hit on his own right there, and if he happens to get it down and advance Neese to second base and get thrown out at first, it probably go as a sacrifice bunt. We saw Jeff Samardzija start to play around with that curveball in his last start, but using it a lot more extensively today. It's been a pretty good pitch for him, even though this one dips low out of the strike zone, although our pitch tracks would say it caught the bottom of the kneecaps.
A pop-up, and Valbuena struggling with that sun, but able to find the ball. Hey fans, don't miss your chance to experience the hottest area in Chicago sports, the all-inclusive Budweiser patio, now open at Wrigley Field. For more information and to purchase tickets for the 2012 season, call 773-404-4200 or visit Cubs.com/premier. Ruben Tejada, 1 on, 1 out. Mets leading 4-1 in the 5th. Fastball strike. Yankees leading the Indians 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th, going for the sweep in the Bronx. Go ahead homer by Robinson Cano in that one. Fly to deep left. Soriano back. Can't get it. Neese chugging around second. He'll get to third on a double by Tejada.
I'm surprised that one stayed in the ballpark. You'll see on our Nissan pitch tracks, middle of the plate fastball with very little movement. Soriano chases it all the way back to the vines, just above the outstretched glove. With the wind blowing out and that being the short part of the ballpark out there, I thought sure this one was gone.
Well, the quick scouting report on Jonathan Neese is a base runner. I'll use your old phrase. He runs hard, but he doesn't run fast.
Yeah, or he runs like he's mad at the ground.
David Wright trying to hit one to Evanston on that swing. Could look him in the eye after the game and say, did you try to hit a home run on that first pitch in the 5th? And if he says no, you know he's lying.
Yeah, most hitters will tell you when you try to hit home runs, you fall into a lot of bad habits. Your swing becomes a little longer and a little slower. Your head tends to come off the ball. But every hitter does it at some point. David Wright trying to ambush Jeff Samardzija with that first pitch home run swing.
Infield in, a 1-1 count. Let's go back to that first swing now. That's a home run swing if I've ever seen one. Uppercut, the whole deal.
If you noticed, his eyes were looking out toward the mound as his bat was coming through the hitting zone. That's what I was just talking about. So many bad things can happen when you overswing.
Clubs that one out in the deep left center. It's going to score a couple. Neese and Tejada will score. And Wright has a double. And it's now 6-1.
Well, Jonathan Neese didn't have to run hard on this one. Another fastball inside part of the plate. Much more controlled swing this time by David Wright. It's a screaming line drive just to the left of straightaway center field.
25th double already for David Wright. Only Joey Votto has more among all big leaguers. Well, what's going on with Samardzija? He's got the velocity, the stuff, but not getting results here lately.
It just seems like his location is much poorer now than it was in the early part of the season. A lot of pitches right over the heart of the plate at inopportune times.
And with that, Casey Coleman plays catch in the Cubs bullpen. The Cubs will have to find another starting pitcher most likely. I don't think Ryan Dempster's going to be ready to come off the DL the next time his turn is up. Randy Wells was designated for assignment before the game today. Rafael Dolis is here and available in the bullpen. Cubs will consider their options over the next few days. Suppose Casey Coleman could be a potential option.
I was just going to say, if you're looking at guys who are already on the roster, Casey Coleman would be the most logical guy to step in from the bullpen to take a spot start.
Here comes Chris Bosio after the 4th walk issued by Samardzija. This gives Coleman a little extra time to get ready.
There's almost a checklist that you go through as a pitching coach and a pitcher, and to a lesser extent as a catcher, when a guy struggles the way Samardzija has recently. First of all, is it a mechanical issue? Are you doing something different now that you weren't doing earlier in the season when you did have good command? If you eliminate that off of your checklist, then you start talking about pitch selection. Are you throwing the right pitches in the right counts to each individual hitter as he comes up to the plate? And if you check that one off, usually you go to the video room and see if you're tipping. Are you doing something that is letting the opposing hitters know what pitch is coming?
Well hit to deep left center, and Ike Davis just hit a home run. That's a 3-run blast. And they're pouring it on now. 9-1. Davis with a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, and his last 6 hits have been for extra bases.
With Manny Gonzalez working behind the plate today, I think Ike Davis figures he better be aggressive and swing early in the count. Picks on the very first pitch he sees in this at bat from Jeff Samardzija. Outer part of the plate, once again that down and through swing, getting a lot of backspin.
That's it for the Cubs starter today. Casey Coleman will replace him. It's a Honda call to the pen in the 5th. And it's righty Casey Coleman. Base is cleared after the 3-run shot off the bat of Ike Davis.
Casey hasn't pitched since the 23rd. He did pitch back-to-back days in that Arizona series. 1 inning each time out. Gave up a total of 3 hits and no runs.
Hairston takes a strike. Andy Pettitte had to leave that game today for the Yankees against Cleveland after 4 innings. He took a comebacker off his left ankle. It's fractured, and they're expecting he's going to be out 6 weeks. Yankees still leading 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th in that one. Fly to left. Soriano will catch this one on the warning track. Here's Murphy, who's doubled and hit a 2-run homer.
Well, the good news is the wind continues to blow out. There's a lot of baseball left, and Jonathan Neese has surrendered 13 home runs of his own this season. He's got to keep hacking.
Center field, Mather back on this one. Murphy's gone yard again. Came in with no homers on the season, and he's hit a couple today. Over 270 at bats without a homer to start the year.
Well, once again, watch the top hand come off the bat at the point of contact. Down and through. Boy, when you catch that ball just perfectly, you get a lot of backspin. He hits it right on the barrel of the bat. Eyes light up when he sees that pitch in the middle of the plate. Head right down the barrel of the bat.
6-run fifth. It's 10-1. First career multi-homer performance for Murphy. First 2 career home runs in his ballpark. Cubs need innings out of Casey Coleman here today. Randy Wells went just 3 last night. That meant 6 innings from Maine, Russell, Camp, and Marmol. Another well hit ball, this time to right, and Baker, moving to his glove side, will make the catch. 2 doubles, 2 homers, 2 walks, 6 runs, and the Mets lead 10-1.
To win, say it with me, free food. The Cubs get a base hit in the 5th inning. Fans with a base hit for Burrito's game card win a free entree.
We heard Cap mention CC Sabathia on the DL. That coupled with the Andy Pettit injury, we're going to have to come up with a couple of starters. Casey Coleman taking the at bat. His team trailing 10-1 here in the 5th.
Well, the Yankees picking up a couple of starters in midseason is like most people going to the store to buy new underwear. You know, you just pick it out, buy it, go home.
Laced foul. Nice grab by that fan.
That's why you bring your glove. It was a heat seeker. Line drive into the stands. Nice catch by that man.
White Sox with 21 hits today as they lead 12-4, trying to win 2 of 3 in Minnesota. That has long been a difficult place to play for the White Sox. Nice with a 2-2 and a base hit into right. Coleman handles the bat well.
And I think there was bright sunshine in Minnesota today. Casey Coleman with a nice at bat, good athlete, swings the bat well, runs the bases well, fields his position well.
Here's Mather.
Second time in the ball game, Mather pounds one off that front foot.
To ask Joe, you saw him just take a practice swing left-handed, which he does occasionally before an at bat. Not sure if it serves any purpose other than just routine. Call made by the home plate umpire on the swing. 1-2.
Check.
High fly ball to left. Hairston back on the warning track, reaching back, never did quite get to the ivy. Castro. Strike to Starlin. Rizzo on deck. 0-2. On this date 30 years ago, the Atlanta Braves tied a major league record, turning 7 double plays in a 2-0 win over the Reds. Speaking of which, there's one. That's it. Was not looking for the segue there. We almost ran into one. 2 down.
Yeah, better throw by the pitcher Jonathan Nice, and the Mets probably do turn 2. Tejada, a low throw, had to field it on the run as he came across the bag at second base. Could not get much on the relay throw to first.
You may remember this one, Bob. June 27th, 1986. Your teammate Robbie Thompson set a major league record. Thrown out 4 times trying to steal a base. But the Giants beat the Reds anyway, 7-6 in 12 innings.
What's that old saying? He had larceny in his heart, but his feet were honest. Another one concerning stolen bases on this day in baseball history. In 1984, Dusty Baker stole second, third, and home in the same inning.
You were involved in that inning,
yeah.
Right?
When he attempted his steal of third base, I was the runner at first, got a late jump at first base, and they threw to second base to try to get me. Realized I was going to be out. Pretty smart that way. Slammed on the brakes, got caught in a rundown, and in the ensuing rundown, Dusty was able to sneak from third base home. Got credit for a stolen base. And ultimately, I made it to second, so I got a stolen base.
Nice. Rizzo pops it up. Murphy calling off his outfielders, drifting out towards center, and he makes the grab. So Rizzo's 1 for 3 today, and it's been all Mets, 10-1. Ability trivia question. Last Met to start an All-Star game on the mound.
Yes, and Doc Gooden. Yeah.
1988.
I think he had 11 wins before the break that year. Boy, at times he was unhittable. Had that high four-seam fastball in the mid to upper 90s and snap-dragon curveball that he would throw right out of the same delivery.
You think about the way Dwight Gooden started his career. 17-9 as a rookie, 1984. As a 19-year-old rookie, I should add. 24-4 the following year in 85. Won the Cy Young. 17-6 in 86. 15-7 in 87. 18-9 in 1988. 9-4, 19-7, 13-7. Incredible.
Yeah, he was really, really good, and he pitched, as I said earlier, for some really good teams in New York during that time period.
Scoring 18 times in a game here a couple of years ago, and Jonathan Neese got the win in that game. He started the 6-run fifth with a leadoff walk.
The fans were a little like the Cubs pitching staff, shell shocked right now.
Samardzija charged with 9 runs today. Nice walks again. This is becoming an epidemic. Dylan G with a broken bat base hit to drive in a run last night. You can live with that. That happens in this game. Got to make that pitcher swing the bat. Ball 1 to Torres. Don't miss the action as the Cubs battle the Astros at 3:05 this Saturday at Wrigley Field. Be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans get Cubs wristbands, compliments of Cottonelle. For more info and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. The 9 runs allowed by Samardzija today, a career high. He had allowed 8 twice previously, including earlier this month at Minnesota. But it is certainly back to the drawing board for Jeff. His ERA ballooning to 5.05. A topper as Coleman gets off the mound. He's got to hurry late. Torres, we know, runs well, and he beats it out for a hit.
It's going to be a tough play regardless, but with Torres' speed, no chance. Once you wait for that second bounce, that's going to give him enough time to make it another step or two down that first baseline. Very close, but able to leg it out.
How about this one? Samardzija walked 4, and all those guys would eventually score. Tejada drops one into right, and Nice, who walked to start the inning, moves 1 base to third. They're loaded with nobody out.
Well, we saw David Wright take a home run swing on the first offering that he saw in his last at bat. That is the picture on your right. His eyes are out toward the pitcher's mound as opposed to the one on the left where his eyes are right down the barrel of the bat. The one on the right, he swings and misses. The one on the left, he doubles into the gap in left center field.
And you see where his head ended up on that swing and miss. Almost looking over his left shoulder. Well, he bats with the bases loaded. He's already knocked in 3 today. David Wright last night with a 9th inning walk, number 580 in his career. That tied him with Darryl Strawberry for the Mets career record. He's 1 homer away from tying Howard Johnson for 3rd. You saw our AT&T Uverse Multiview. It'll get out of play. This is tough. Even when you get to 2 strikes on David Wright, you start to nibble. He's most of the time not going to expand his zone a whole lot. Talk about giving the illusion of a strike. Coleman has not done that in the last 2 pitches, and at some point he's going to have to throw something near the plate in this at bat.
He's more likely to chase a bad pitch on the inside part of the plate, preferably up, because he has to react a lot quicker to that pitch than on balls on the outer part of the plate.
Bounced up the middle, into center. Nice in. Torres scores 12-1. 5 RBI day for David Wright.
Our Nissan pitch tracks, elevated fastball out over the plate, just a bouncing ball back up the middle of the field. Nobody could get to it. And those guys who are notorious run producers, they find ways to get guys on the plate. It's not always a line drive in the gap or a ball hit up into the seat. Sometimes it's a seeing eye single through the infield, but they get their teammates on the plate.
Duda 0 for 1, but he's walked twice and scored both times. His free passes have been deadly today. 5 of them, they've all come back to score. Some other news around baseball. Trevor Bauer is going to make his debut for Arizona tomorrow in Atlanta. Gibson made that announcement yesterday.
He's going to start warming up today.
Yeah, he likes to. When we say long toss, it's what, foul pole to foul pole.
Yeah, he has a very unusual pregame routine that the Diamondbacks have allowed him to continue, but very odd. Plays long toss from Phoenix to Tucson. Throws a lot of pitches in the bullpen, but can't argue with the results he's had so far.
His last warm-up toss before the inning is a kind of a blind throw from the back of the mound. 21 years old, 3rd overall pick out of UCLA last year, right-hander, and he'll go tomorrow. Stephen Drew going to be activated off the DL and make his season debut tonight. There's another walk. And the bases are loaded again.
This is where you make a trip to the mound as a catcher and tell Casey Coleman, look over your right shoulder. There's nobody warming up down there in that bullpen down the left field line. This is the kind of day you're going to have to take one for the team. So whatever you have to do to find your best stuff and your best location, you better do it right now.
Stephen Drew in the lineup tonight, hitting 2nd, coming back from ankle surgery. Got him on the inside corner. That's the first out of the inning, and Coleman desperately needed it. Comebacker.
And got the benefit of the doubt on a borderline pitch. Remember last night, Ike Davis and Manny Gonzalez, who was working first base last night, had a little go round, and you have to believe borderline pitches are not going to go Ike's way today.
Scott Hairston, towering fly ball, deep left center, a grand slam for the Mets left fielder. It's 16-1. Only his 3rd homer against a right-hander. The Mets now with 4 home runs today. They've hit for the home run cycle, I think. Yeah, 2-run homer, 3-run homer, solo shot, now a grand slam.
I mentioned earlier that Jonathan Neese had surrendered 13 home runs of his own this season. The Cubs would have to hit 13 home runs to get back into this game.
Oh, and by the way, Daniel Murphy has 10 total bases today, trying to get his way back, playing every single day at second base.
That's a good way to go about doing it.
Xfinity high-speed action. Double and 2 homers. What do managers like to say? The player will tell you how much he's going to play. Daniel Murphy had been struggling. He's had a huge afternoon. Makes it out for the first time. 2 away. That's batting around for the second consecutive inning. All starting, both innings starting with a leadoff walk to the pitcher. Tolley out into deep center. Mather can't get it. It's going to get to the barrier. So Tolley joins the hit parade. Going into that at bat, the only Met to have not reached today. Every other guy in the lineup has scored at least 1 run. Back to Coleman. He's got some time, and he will get knees. Back-to-back 6-run innings as the Mets now lead 16-1 in the 6th. Day off. Pretty productive one for the MVP candidate. Wright, 2 hits, a sac fly, 5 RBIs, 2 runs. Tony Campana will hit for Alfonso Soriano, as both managers will probably empty their benches and give some of their part-time players a couple of at-bats. in there for a strike on Tony Campana. Just underway in San Francisco. Dodgers and Giants scoreless in the second, but Andre Ethier with an apparent injury is out of the game. One plate appearance today, a walk. Good matchup. Chad Billingsley, Tim Lincecum on the mound. Lincecum diving attempt, no catch, a trap by Hairston, and a leadoff single for Campana.
Scott Hairston a lot of credit trying to make a diving catch with his team ahead by 15 runs. Would have been very easy just to back off and play that ball on a hop and concede the single, but tried to make the diving catch coming straight in, played it on a short hop.
Here's Baker. Lincecum went into that start today 2-8 with a 6.07 earned run average. Two-time Cy Young Award winner Tim Lincecum. I think the strangest thing about it in the big picture, Bob, I mean, guys can have bad years, but in this now era of the pitcher, and he's gone the other way, at least for this season, is bizarre. Velocity is down according to Fangraphs. Lincecum's fastball 90.5 miles an hour. Earlier in his career, 94 in 08, 92.4 in 2009. A high bouncer to short. They turn it 6-4-3.
Meet the team in picnic on the outfield grass at Wrigley Field after the Cubs take on the Diamondbacks on Sunday, July 15th, when Chicago Cubs Charities presents Picnic for a Purpose, presented by Bank of America. Enjoy a picnic dinner in the outfield, meet current Cubs players and coaches, and take home a Cubs picnic blanket, all while benefiting the community. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Caught the corner, 1-1 to Soto. Stay tuned to Captain Morgan's 7th inning stretch coming up in a little bit, and this will be fun. Jane Lynch, great actress from the hit show Glee, and a Chicago area native, will be our guest. Full count, 3-2. Looking at Jane Lynch's credits on IMDb, there may not be a TV show over the past 15 years on which she hasn't appeared. Swing and a miss. Soto is down on strikes. Jonathan Neese with a 15-run lead after 6. Thanks. Don't miss Chicago Tribune Live on Comcast Sportsnet. Tribune's Teddy Greenstein and Brian Hamilton will join host David Kaplan and discuss the day's hottest sports topics and set the table for the night ahead. Chicago Tribune Live presented by Captain Morgan tonight at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Changes now for the Cubs. Jairo Asensio will pitch. We've got Brian LaHare playing right. Moving Jeff Baker to second. You've got Mather in left, Campana in center. And you've got Darwin Barney at short. So Starlin Castro done for the day. So again, setting the outfield for you left to right. Mather, Campana, LaHare. Infield, third to first. Valbuena, Barney, Baker, Rizzo, Soto, and Asensio are the battery. You got it?
I'm catching up slowly.
Torres fouls off, third base side, out of play. Paid crowd 35,837. Well, the line's not very pleasant for Samardzija Coleman. The starter 4 1/3, 6 hits, 9 runs. And the reliever Coleman 1 2/3, 6 hits, 7 runs. Each allowed 2 homers. Torres cranks that one foul. Popped up. Just back of the screen.
Some equipment issues for Giovanni Soto behind the plate. Appeared one of the straps came off his shin guard. Quickly repairs it. Ready to go.
You got him on a swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Good change up that time by Asensio. A lot of fading action away from the left-handed hitter on our Liberty Mutual pitch tracks. You can see that Torres chased a pitch out of the zone.
Two hits, 2 runs for Tejada. See, Torres has scored twice. Same for Tejada, same for Wright, who's knocked in 5. Cleanup man Lucas Duda, 3 walks, 3 runs. Ike Davis, double homer, 4 knocked in. Scott Hairston with a grand slam. Daniel Murphy, a double, 2 homers. Tolley 1 for 4 with a double. Neese, 2 walks, 2 runs. Everybody's contributed for the Mets today. Joe Mather will make the waist-high grab on the move. 2 outs.
Hey, Len, you know who would have been right at home in the Mets lineup today? Johnny Damon. Because on this day in baseball history, in 2003, the Red Sox batted for 50 minutes in the bottom of the first inning. They scored 14 runs. Johnny Damon had a single, a double, and a triple in the first inning.
I was there.
Ooh.
I believe it took the Marlins 3 pitchers to get the first out. Do they have the final? Was it 25-8?
They do not have the
All
final.
right. I believe that was a final that day.
Now they scored 10 runs before they made an out.
Yeah, that is something else. $50 minutes?
50 minutes in the bottom of the first
We
inning.
were probably doing on this date in baseball history in the first inning. Justin Turner pops into shallow right. LaHair coming on, and it'll bounce in front of him for a bloop single.
Can't really blame Brian LaHair for that when everybody has to play deep the way the ball is carrying with the wind howling out to center field, and LaHair just couldn't get there quickly enough.
So Carl Pavano started that game, gave up 6 hits, 6 runs. Michael Tejera came in, gave up 4 hits, 5 runs, and then Alan Levrault, the right-hander, finally got an out. The Marlins used 5 pitchers in that game. They all gave up at least 4 runs.
Ooh.
Damon went 5 for 7. Todd Walker went 4 for 5. David Ortiz, Kevin Millar, Trot Nixon all had 3 hits. Bill Miller from the 8 spot went 4 for 5. That lineup was amazing. They had Trot Nixon hitting 7th, hitting .313. Bill Miller hit 8 that day, .325. Jason Varitek was the 9th hitter, hitting .283. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, obviously those games are fun when you're on the good side of the scoreboard, but man, when you're on the other side, whoo.
I have a feeling Todd Hollingsworth can talk about that game on post-game live. He hit 9th for the Marlins that day and went 1 for 4 as the DH. Swing and a miss. Captain Morgan's stretch time with Jane Lynch.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, award-winning actress, comedian, and Chicago native Jane Lynch.
All right, Cubs fans, let's turn this thing around. A 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back, for it's root, root, root for
Underway here in the last of the 7th. All Mets today. And the 0-1 from Nice to Barney, a swing and a miss. Great to have with us Jane Lynch. We got a long list of things here. Comedian, actress, Chicago native. And nice to have you in the booth. Great job with the 7th inning stretch.
Thank you. I just felt we had to shake it up. We got to turn this thing around.
So how are you, Jane?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be home, and it's a beautiful day. It's great to be back at the ballpark. I don't think I've been here in 20 years.
The ballpark looks great. As Barney fouled that one off his foot. As I look at your credits, I don't know how you found a day off. You are as busy as any actor working today.
I am. I have a lot going on, but I'm on hiatus now from Glee, and I'm visiting family here in Chicago, and can go on a little vacation, and then go back to Glee in the end of July.
I think a lot of fans, especially younger fans, Glee fans, would assume you're an overnight success. Nothing could be further from the truth, right? You've been working hard.
I've been doing this a real long time, and I've enjoyed it the whole time. I felt successful the whole time just because I get to do it. And I've worked here a lot. You know, I did Second City and Steppenwolf and a lot of theaters you've never heard of. I love being on stage, and now I love being in front of the camera. It's great.
Got to ask you about working in a couple of Christopher Guest movies, and obviously a lot of the work you do is very tightly scripted, but in both cases, Best in Show, Mighty Wind, what sort of script existed? Was it just an outline?
There is no script. There's no dialogue. What you get is you get what looks like a regular script, and then there's no dialogue, and so we're responsible for the dialogue. And he shoots a lot of film, Christopher Guest does, and we improvise the whole thing. We're making it up.
That must be a thrill.
It is. It's scary, and it's very liberating. And when you do it well, nothing feels better. It's like connecting with the ball. You know, when you hit it out of the park, nothing feels better.
Are you a dog person? I got to ask everyone who's appeared in Best in Show.
Absolutely. I got my first dog. Well, I mean, I grew up with dogs, but I got my first dog as an adult right after we wrapped Best in Show. Her name is Olivia de Puppeland, and she's a Lhasa Apso, and she's 12. 12 years ago, we did that movie, and then I have a little dog, Francis, a little puppy, rescue puppy, and a dog, George, with my ex, who I get to visit from time to time, and many cats over the years. We have 2 now.
Barney with a base hit. Yeah, that's one of those movies. I'm a huge dog person.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I don't feel like it makes fun of the dog world. I think it kind of pays homage to the dog shows and people who love.
Well, that's what Chris does. I think that the cynicism is missing from his stuff, which is why I love it so much. And he always takes some subculture that's trying to distinguish themselves, and you know, I love how he does that. And this happens to be the dog show world, and they take it very seriously. And you know, we kind of stepped into that and had a whole lot of fun.
I think Fred Willard was taking some shots at the dog.
Yeah, he was. Well, or maybe just Joe Garagiola, who was the guy who does color for the Westminster Dog Show. But yeah, Fred came up with some zingers. Chicago guy.
And we've had, many actors from that film. Mike McKeon has been in the booth with us. Fred Willard
just texted me and said, "Don't forget to say let's go get some runs." So he was very helpful.
I'll tell you, Michael's been one of our favorites. When he came, we had, Bob, I think that was the night against the Astros where all heck broke loose. It was like this mini tornado comes through Wrigley Field. They had a long delay. I think he sang the 7th inning stretch at about 11:45 p.m. and he would have certainly been well within his rights to say, I got to go get some sleep. But he stuck around, and we were glad he did.
No, he's a great guy. I love him. He's so talented, and he's now a huge Cubs fan after spending a summer here doing a play.
We're here with Jane Lynch, 1 strike on Brian LaHare. What about writing? You've been in so many things. You going to write, direct, produce?
I'm a little lazy for that, but I'm not as hungry as I used to be. I did a little writing. I wrote a one-person show, and I used to always write monologues for myself. And now I have this steady paycheck, and I've become a little soft. I'm not really ambitious anymore.
I wouldn't say you're not ambitious. I'm trying to come up with a television series you have not at least made a cameo on in the last 15
LA Law.
years. That's it?
And yet I went to an event the other night, and they said, Jane Lynch has been in LA Law. And, well, I've been on a lot of shows, but I've never been on LA Law.
1-2 on the way, and LaHare foul tips into the glove. We've got to ask you from Chicago, a Cub fan growing up. I know you said you haven't been at Wrigley in 20 years.
I haven't been here in 20 years, but I grew up on the South Side, and it was pretty sacrilegious to be a Cubs fan if you grew up on the South Side, so I kept it to myself. But my 10th birthday, my dad brought me to Wrigley Field, and Ron Santo was in the getting ready to bat, and I waved to him, and he gave me a little wave like that, and I will never forget it.
We think about Ronnie every day. Number 10
there
flies.
He is, number 10. And I'm wearing number 14 for Ernie Banks, which I thought was nice of them to give me, because I know it's retired. That's what it should be.
I want to ask you, how does it make you feel when people see you on the street and say, "Hey, Sue, hey, Sue"? I mean, in a way, that's a compliment because you're so closely tied to that character, but obviously you're not Sue Sylvester.
No, but, that goes with the territory. But I got to tell you, most people say, "Hi, Jane," which is pretty interesting because most people have never known my name in life. So it's kind of cool. It's really cool. And I mean, there's so many... our demographic is like 14 to 21-year-old girls. And although there are guys who love the show, too. And Wrigley Field is teeming with them today, and they've all been just great, coming up to me saying how much they love the show. And it makes me feel so good because I wish I had something like Glee growing up.
We should mention Mike O'Malley was in town last week, and we had fun with Mike at our Hot Stove Cool Music. Raised about $250,000 for children's charities.
Fabulous. He's a wonderful actor.
He could sing, too.
Yeah.
Did a great cover version of The Seeker by The Who, so you can ask him to sing that next time you see him. Jane, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Make sure it's not 20 more years before you come back.
It won't be. Thank you so much.
Jane.
I had so much fun. What an honor.
Including the next series starting Friday against the Astros here at Wrigley Field. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com, call 1-800-THE-CUBS, or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Rafael Dolis, who at one time this season was closing games for the Cubs, he's back from the minor leagues, replacing Randy Wells on the 25-man roster.
Getting hit was not the problem for Rafael Dolis earlier this season. Finding the strike zone consistently, however, was a big issue.
Ike Davis, big day. 4 knocked in, double home run. And a fly to left. And Mather's going to have to chase this one down. Ike Davis with another extra base hit. Here's Here's Hairston, who hit a grand slam in the 6th.
Hairston with a couple of deep fly balls back in the 4th inning. He flied out to center. In the 5th, he flied out to left. Both appeared to have home run distance off the bat, but no doubt about that grand slam in the 6th.
Second career grand slam of his career. The other one was back in 2009 with Oakland, Sean Kelly of the Mariners. Elise made the opening day roster at 4 saves and 6 decisions, 2 wins, 4 losses, 23 appearances before he was sent down to Iowa in late May.
His bread and butter pitch is still power sinker in the mid to upper 90s. It's hard to believe he can get that much movement with that much velocity.
Campana will have to play this one on the hop as the Mets just keep on hitting. Daniel Murphy. Came in stone cold, but has had a huge afternoon. Barney feeds Baker. Relay throw late, and Murphy gets another RBI. 4th here today. 17-1. Murphy tying his career best with the 4 knocked in. Don't think Dale will need to do it, but if there were a game this year in which he would consider a position player pitching, this would be the day. The game very much out of reach. Baker to Barney, and they do turn this one to end the inning. Let's get yet another run. 17-1. The MLB.com @Bat12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text it BAT to 31826 or visit Cubs.com for details. That's it for the left-hander John Neese. 7 innings, 8 hits, 1 run. And right-hander Ramon Ramirez enters along with Mike Nikias in a double switch. Nikias a catcher as Steve Clevenger takes ball 1. Clevenger hitting in the pitcher spot. Three and 0.
Welcome to the ball game, Mike Nikias. Rattled his cage pretty good right there. Big rip by Steve Clevenger. Squared it up right in the middle of the match. Nearly went over backwards. My neck hurt up here.
Base hit right field. Clevenger continues to thrive in the pinch. He is now 4 for 8 as a pinch hitter. Now Anthony Rizzo, who has flied to center, doubled to right center, and popped to second. Swing and a miss. Fastball outside. Pretty hard changeup for Ramirez. His fastball 91-92. The changeup's about 86-87.
It's really more like a batting practice fastball. That's what hitters call it. When a pitcher doesn't throw his best fastball, takes 5 or 6 miles per hour off of it.
Swing and a miss. So for the first time in these first 2 games for Rizzo, he strikes out.
Change-ups in that at bat. Ramirez to Rizzo, out in front that time. A lot of fading action as that ball got near the hitting zone.
Safe at first. Hard to double up Tony Campana.
Decision right there whether to take it himself at second base or flip onto the shortstop, but I don't think they're going to get Tony Campana either way. That's one of those tweeners. You're so close to the bag, you don't want to risk a toss and maybe the shortstop mishandle the ball or the sliding runner break up the double play, but if you take it yourself, you're probably not going to have enough time to complete the relay.
Partner, I have pitching probables.
All right.
Friday afternoon, Bud Norris will come off the DL for the Astros. He has a sprained left knee. He'll face Paul Maholm. Northwestern alum Jay Happ, the left-hander, will oppose Matt Garza on Saturday. We'll have Sunday's homestand finale as Travis Wood, who's been excellent his last 2 times out. And whenever the Cubs face the Astros, Wandy Rodriguez has to pitch one of the games.
I think it's in his contract.
It is. That should be a good matchup on Sunday afternoon. Astros will go with a 6-man rotation for about a week plus leading into the All-Star break, as rookie Dallas Keuchel will stay in that rotation even with Norris coming back. Baker strikes out and we'll go to the 9th. Mets big today. Sportsnet Central presented by AT&T Ubers. Coming up tonight at 6:30, reaction from Cubs and Mets. The White Sox wrap up their series in Minnesota. Join Pat Boyle and Mark Shanowski for Sportsnet Central presented by AT&T Ubers. Tonight at 6:30 only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. More changes. Rizzo out, Clevenger in at first. You see Clevenger in the background, and Manny Corpus will do the pitching. Catcher Nickius with his first and probably only at bat takes a strike. Well, you win the series, but you get blasted on a day like this. Doesn't make you feel great. Cubs will try to put this one in the rearview mirror on the off day tomorrow and get ready for the Astros on Friday.
Yeah, that's the good news. An off day tomorrow to kind of rinse this one out of your mouth, forget about it. Ideally, a ball game like this, you just want to get through it without any injuries. Get through to Friday healthy with everybody intact and go right back to work against the Astros.
Injury for Andre Ethier, an oblique strain.
Boy, those can linger for a long time. We don't know the severity of the oblique injury by Andre Ethier, but those have been known to last a lot longer than you anticipate.
Just ask Steve Clevenger. Yeah. Well, they already have Matt Kemp on the DL. High fly left field. Mather coming over and no play. Yankees did beat Cleveland 5-4. They held on. Bad news for the Yanks again. Andy Pettitte with a broken ankle. They sweep that series. 2-2.
Pretty good looking pitch from Manny Corpus right there. A lot of late movement on that sinker. Back to the corner. These are the kind of borderline pitches that in a 16-run game generally get called in favor of moving the game along.
There are a few birds hovering. That's the only one actually walking in the outfield. A wolf pack, as it were, of one. Nikias draws the walk. David Ortiz with career homer number 399 as Boston beat Toronto 10-4 to take 2 of 3. They've won 5 consecutive series. Jose Bautista with his 25th leading the majors. Through the legs of the second base umpire, and a double play as Darwin Barney stuck with it. Gary Davis had that one go right through the wickets.
Good concentration that time by Darwin Barney. Had to be screened at some point. Jerry Davis really didn't have many options and got through cleanly. Darwin Barney takes it himself to complete the double play. We've seen runners do that on occasion. The runner at second base try to distract the infielders by staying in front of that baseball as long as they can.
2 outs, nobody on. It's Tejada, the shortstop, and he rips one into center for their 16th hit. Tejada has 3 of them.
We've been banging around a lot of this day in baseball history, Len, in what will go down as one of the greatest trades the Cleveland Indians ever made. Back in 2002, they traded their #1 starter, Bartolo Colon, to the Expos for first baseman Lee Stevens, 3 minor leaguers in cash. You ask, who were the 3 minor leaguers? Brandon Phillips, Cliff Lee, and Grady Sizemore.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are the kind of trades that you look to make when you're trying to rebuild your roster. I mean, Bartolo Colon was really good back then. That was a tough deal to give away their #1 starter, but for what they got in return, I think they got the better of the deal.
And we'll never know if Brandon Phillips would have become the same player he has with the Reds, but probably so. One to Turner. Ground ball to Barney. He will flip to Baker, covering second to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the ninth as the Mets will likely salvage a finale here today. The Mets didn't do in the first 2 games of this series. They had 3 errors in 1 inning in the opener, including 2 3-base errors, as the Cubs would take game 1 6-1. Another error last night, allowing a run to score. Today they really haven't needed their defense much. When you score 17 runs, you can generally out-hit your mistakes. Haven't committed a miscue so far today.
Well, we mentioned it throughout the series. The Mets second only to the San Francisco Giants in the most errors committed in the National League. Look over at the American League. The Tampa Bay Rays bringing up the rear with 64 errors. Baltimore Orioles with 63.
Ground ball up the middle. We just showed you Tejada. Good range. 1 out.
What figures to be a losing cause. Darwin Barney's had himself a nice day. Bookend base hits around a ground ball to short.
One and one to Barney. Next offering. And Barney stays alive.
Synchronized guzzling in the Mets bullpen.
Tim Burdak's the winner. Barney held up. Right now the Cubs bullpen in the shade, but that visiting bullpen for a 120 start on a day like this, they're in that sun all afternoon. Picked up by Turner, fires across, 2 down. These 2 teams will meet again a week from Friday at Citi Field. 3-game series to wrap up the season set and the first half. Valbuena has the lone Cubs RBI. Actually gave them the lead. Tied it up, rather, 1-1 in the second inning. The producer of Cubs baseball here on CSN is John Walsh. Dave Turner is our director. Keon Dolit-Shahi. And today is our associate producer, Tamara Anderson, on vacation. And that'll do it as the Mets pound the Cubs today. Cubs take the series 2 of 3, but a 17-1 final score this afternoon. And our GMC player of the game is Daniel Murphy, off to a bit of a slow start, was struggling coming in, but a huge afternoon.
Well, he picked the right day to find his stroke with the wind blowing out here at Wrigley Field. Just absolutely put on a clinic, elevating that ball first to right field and just to the left to straightaway center.
Also, special thanks to our stage manager in the booth, Paula Ostroba, our tech manager, Mark Harper, our executive producer, Jim Corno Jr., and our great CSN crew. Len Casper for Bob saying so long from Wrigley. Final score 17-1 Mets. Astros and Cubs. The series finale on Sunday, 12:30 here on CSN. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad. You've been watching Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet, now part of the NBC Sports Group.